that I'd said that there's a human desire for morality. I didn't actually talk about a human desire for morality. When I used the word desire, I talked of a desire for justice on a moral basis. But you asked me to reconcile that concern for morality with the awareness that we go wrong and we face our own sinfulness. Now that raises, of course, a question that every religion has got to face. Because if there is a God who is holy and just and true, then one sure thing is, I've certainly not even kept my own standards, let alone his. So what's going to happen to me when the judgment comes? That is a very real question that proceeds out of that. You don't have to reconcile the difference. We've got this moral compass, but it judges me. That's the problem. It judges me. And therefore we've got to raise the question, seriously raise it. Where does that leave me in relationship with God? I'll come back to that in a little moment. Now, the first question was I talked about people inspired by Christianity to do good things. And what empirical evidence would I offer that Christianity furthers kindness? Well, I'm grateful for hospitals, for nursing, for hospices. They're all Christian institutions. I'm grateful for universities, Christian institutions. And indeed, one of the world's leading atheists is Jürgen Habermas. He's well worth reading. He's written a book called Transitions, in which he says something like this. Now, he's an atheist. And he says, if you look at our great institutions, our human rights, our legislations, our universities, and all the rest of it, the foundations of the morality and all that's good in Western society, they all trace back to the Judeo-Christian tradition. What is more, he says, we have no other source. Everything else, and I was astonished when I read this last bit, everything else is postmodern chatter. Now that's an atheist, and increasingly, ladies and gentlemen, as a reaction to the new atheists saying Christianity and religion do no good, there's an increasing number of very much brighter intellectual voices on the atheist side reminding us that the freedoms we've got owe greatly to Christianity. And there's the irony of it, that some of the people use those freedoms and they want to cut out any debate on the God question in the academy. And they're using the very freedoms that were guaranteed to them. Virtually every university in this country and in my country was a Christian institution, founded by people that saw no contradiction between thought, rationality, and belief in God. And I would say that the evidence is absolutely overwhelming. We forget that care for abandoned children and hospices and all of this thing was introduced through Christianity. I'll never forget going to Rwanda just before the genocide. And I was at a camp, and the cook I discovered was a brilliant physician. And I said to him, what are you doing here? Well, he said, I like cooking. I said, yes, come on. What are you doing in this country? He said, I went to Seattle, Washington University. He said, I was a top student in medicine. And he said, I had a brilliant career cut out for me. And then he said, I was coming up to my final examinations, and I thought, you know, medicine is about alleviating pain, and I don't know much about pain, so I better go to the bookshop. And he walked to the bookshop, and there in the center of the window was The Problem of Pain by C.S. Lewis. He thought it was a medical textbook. He bought it, and he said, you know, John, I sat night after night with that book. I had my career mapped, wonderful opportunities, and I couldn't let it go. And he said, I've been now all of my life operating in Central Africa, trying to relieve the pain of my fellow men and women. I've seen that not only once but many times. So that's the sort of evidence. But I hope you, who asked the question, have at least some evidence that Christianity can motivate people. Now, please, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not suggesting there aren't atheist doctors who do these things. But what I am suggesting is that historically, the legacy that you and I have that's enabling you to sit in this university and me to speak here, that legacy is intricately bound up with the Bible. It would be a shame to throw it away, wouldn't it?